moving on to Silent Hill F. So we got a
Yes.
trailer for the new Silent Hill game. That's or it was in this March 2025's Silent Hill Transmission live stream, and it looks
Hmm.
amazing. Here is
It does.
a write up from Adam Bankhurst from IGN. Konami's latest Silent Hill transmission has arrived, and it was focused completely on the Silent Hill F, the upcoming entry in the beloved horror franchise that will take players to 1960 Japan. Silent Hill F was first announced in 2022 and was described as a game that looks to take place in a beautiful, therefore terrifying world. It was also confirmed Silent Hill F was being written by uh, Ryukishi07, the
Oh,
acclaimed
seven.
Japanese
Yep.
visual novel writer behind the Higurashi and Unimeko series, which I've heard you talk about.
Yes, and I listen. I'll let you get through the synopsis and then I'll share my thoughts because I have a lot of them.
Konami shared a brand new trailer for Silent Hill F on a ton of new details, including that it will aim to find the beauty and terror and present players with a beautiful yet terrifying choice in 1960 Japan. The team wasn't ready to spoil what that decision would be, but it did unveil a bit of the story, and we'll leave it to Konami to set the stage. Shimizu Hinako was living her life as an ordinary teenager, the official description reads. That is, until her town is suddenly shrouded in a fog and begins to change in a horrific way. Now she must explore a town she no longer recognizes while solving puzzles, fighting strange enemies, and doing everything she can to survive, in order to face the ultimate decision that she must make. This is a tale about a beautiful yet terrifying choice. This new game will be an original story. There will be a great place for new players to jump in, but there will be certain Easter eggs waiting for serious veterans. Konami also discussed a few more details on the game, including that it will take place in the fictional Japanese town of Ibisugako, which is based on a real place called Kaneyama-gero in the Gifu prefecture, which is really funny to go to a town, see it, and go, yeah, y'all town creepy as fuck. I'm going to turn it into a horror game. But yeah, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Okay, so like I said, I'm uh reading through Umineko right now. First of all, one of the best visual novels I've ever had the pleasure to like engage with. It is so good. If you have not read or like even like if you haven't read Umineko or even heard of it, this is as good a time as any to get into it so you can get ready for Silent Hill F. That being said, this is the most like Ryukishi 07 plot I've ever heard of. Like, oh, small town, small creepy town that like, and it lends so well to the Silent Hill like universe, but like small creepy stuck in time Japanese town where it's like gender roles and child abuse are a big thing in the plot. Like, oh yeah, the Ryukishi 7 definitely wrote this. It's so obvious, but it also makes me so excited because his writing is like phenomenal. Like I said, I cannot recommend Umineko enough. I haven't gotten to Higurashi, but once I finish Umineko, it's next on my docket. Because you can read them without having like to know anything about the other. And his third visual novel, Sasonia, is also on my docket after, like I said, I finished Higurashi and Umineko. But in like I said, this is mostly me shilling Umineko. Please read it. It's so good. It's on Steam, but there's also like billions and billions of live streams of people reading it. If like you want to put it on as background noise or whatever, it's great. I love it, and I'm so excited for this Silent Hill game. And I think I'm buying it launch day, despite me being so scared.
Yeah, it looks incredible in terms of the
It
visuals.
does.
And I watched the entirety of the live stream they did, and they talk about how like in Japanese horror, they like perfection is kind of scary, like something being so perfect that it circles back around to being
Mm-hmm.
horrifying. And like a lot of what they show in this is like what are those flowers called? Chrysanthemums, or whatever they call them. um,
Oh,
and they show them a
mm-hmm.
lot, and they make them creepy, and they're all
Right.
blood red, and they almost look like fungus on the walls. But when you look closer, they're like, no, those are flowers, but they don't look like flowers. They look weird and creepy, and they're this like unnatural color, and it's like, yeah, it's I see what they mean. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for
Mm-hmm.
this. This is probably no, because I think I'm gonna end up playing. Depends on when this comes out. I'll probably
Right.
play the Silent Hill 2 remake before this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play it because I think I was just busy at the time, but I'll get around to it eventually. Because I heard,
I was say, if you don't get to it first, I surely will.
yeah. So maybe I'll end up playing Silent Hill 2, and you end up playing this, and then we both talk about them both spoiler free,
Right.
and then we swap, and you play Silent Hill 2,
Right.
and I
Me
play Silent
too.
Hill F, and then we talk about it that way. That'd be fun. But yeah, this looks really good. So Roger Pokorny from Kind of Funny Games said something amazing about this game that I hope is true. He said they're going to be able to create a new generation for Silent Hill. This is the best way to revitalize a franchise. I could see this being the blueprint for other Konami franchises that they don't want to touch but want to touch. Now he mentions Castlevania, but what he is referring to specifically there was Metal Gear Solid. Um, and I agree with him that if Konami wants to make a brand new Metal Gear game, they should find a way to distance it from the original games while still making it clear that it's in the same world like they're doing with Silent Hill F. And for me, I think the best way to do that is to have a big time jump and introduce a brand new character. That way you can start fresh. The time jump should be far enough that it doesn't heavily affect the ending of the Kojima directed games, but also not too far so that you can still have some old characters pop up. I think that'd be ideal for moving forward with those games. With Castlevania, I think they should just reboot because now they're in modern times, and it's like nobody wants to play Castlevania in the modern day other than the games that we already have. So it's like I guess they could go into the future, but like I don't know if anybody's looking for that from Castlevania. That would be interesting though. That could be cool. I think that they could, of course. Doing a reboot doesn't mean that you can't continue the main timeline. So they could like do a game that takes place in the future. That'd be fun. But they're definitely going to start remaking those games eventually, starting probably with Symphony of the Night.
I hope so.
And if they're going to make new games, like I said, I think they should do a reboot, and they should be 3D. Souls-likes. We talked about it before. We've talked about it 1,000 times. They need to, make good 3D Castlevania games. The very first Lord of Shadow is decent. Second one I've heard isn't nearly as good.
It's not.
But Souls-likes, that's the best comparison. God of War, especially since it combines perfectly hack and slash and Souls-like, is what I see for a 3D Castlevania game. And then they can continue the 2D games with remakes and like sequels to that timeline. So there's ways for them to remake Castlevania. But yeah, Silent Hill looks good.